Hi, everybody. For those of you that aren't with us today, or those of you that just like to review it again, we'll take a quick look at our notes for character development. Now, in class today, what we're going to do is we are going to go through these notes and then we are going to add our own notes to this, depending on which class you're in, how those notes will be added in. But you will get the chance to kind of personalize these notes to yourself. Those of you that are not with us today will not need to do that assignment. You will be excused from that. But I do want to take a few minutes and just kind of review this information for you. So what we're looking at is character development or characterization, and this is how we see a character, how we get to know the character, and kind of connect with the character, and then watch them change or not over the course of the text, so that we get to kind of see how they start at one point and they end up in another. This also really has to do with how the author reveals that character to us. To find out the nature of a character, we use a method called STEAL, an acronym for speech, thoughts, affect, actions, and looks. They're pretty self-explanatory, and I think that you probably have talked about these things before, but I just wanted to do this as a quick review. Speech is what does the character say, and what does that speech reveal about the character, right? Like what they talk about, how they talk, the tone, the language that they use. All of that goes into kind of revealing a little something about the character. Part of it will be the actual content of the words, but much more of it will be how they say it, the tone, the nature, the message, and the purpose of that speech. When we think about thoughts, this is what goes on through the character's mind. Now, in different media, this becomes kind of difficult to discern sometimes. In books, it's really easy because we get to see like the character do a soliloquy, or we get to see the character kind of turn, to the side and deliver some thoughts like, I was thinking about this, and I wanted to see this, and I was hoping for this, and I love that. In movies and stuff, we sometimes get that through either, again, like the soliloquy where the character turns toward the camera, or maybe it's when there's like the voiceover, so we don't see the character talking, but we kind of get to read their mind a little bit. The effect, this one is kind of this one is a hard one to see if you're not looking for it, but it's the impact a character has on other characters. If you think about your classmates, and there's always that one classmate, that one friend, that one guy that you sit at the lunch table with or something, that always seems to make everybody in a great mood, right? They're laughing, they're joking, they're carrying on, and everybody's always in a really good mood. Though that person has an effect on the people around them. The same way if a person's always grumpy and angry and sullen or whatever, right? They bring other people down with them. So when you think about the effect that characters have on other characters, or vice versa, how they're impacted by the people around them, you get to kind of see their nature a little bit. Actions, this is very self-explanatory. This is the things they do or that they don't do. Sometimes sometimes they act a certain way in one situation, but not in another. What happens when they're confronted with a choice? What is the choice they make? And do they make a choice? That process, how they act. So that one is, again, pretty straightforward, and I think most people are pretty familiar with that. And then the easiest one of all of them is, what does the character look like, right? Like, what does literally the character look like? What they're wearing, what their physical makeup is, how they carry themselves, right? All those things are look. Now, of all of these, this is probably the one that the author will be the most direct about in text. So-and-so is 6 foot tall and wearing whatever. In movies that we don't get to hear, we don't get that direct connotation, but we do get to see it, right? Like we see it really directly in front of us. If you go through the rest of these notes, here's an example, and we talked about how which of these pieces, which of these things showed us something about the character. So you have the speech here. This is what they looked like. You talk about he sees me by the chin. That's an action. The choice between the choice between the people and how they are portrayed. Those are their effects on each other. So we get to kind of see that in action. And then we have some video samples for you to look at here. And again, I'm not going to play these for you right now. You're welcome to watch these yourself. And depending on the class that you're in, how we would do and manage these. But there's a speech from Caddyshack. Really think about how he talks. What he says is important, but also how he says it. We have the opening monologue scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This one is partially it's a voiceover, and partially it's Matthew Broderick's character talking directly to the camera, including this scene here in the shower. The effects, we look at how these two singer performers in the movie Sing really change. You think about how at first the kids don't know how to react to the mother, right? This is the mother, and then we get to see her kids there in the audience watching her. Then all of a sudden they go crazy. And then we get to see, people that are outside the theater watching on screens, and they're dancing and they're kind of bobbing along, right? And how they kind of get into the performance. And at the very end, how her husband is taken with her performance. If you think about actions, a great scene from the end of Toy Story 3 is where Andy gives away his toys. And you think about what that says, right? The action of giving away the toys and how he gave them away and to whom he gave them to, and then all the things that go on around with that. That's a really moving scene, and we get to really see how he makes a difference in her life. And then we end with just this picture. This isn't a movie necessarily, a video. I could put any of them, but just think about how all these different characters, and when you look at them, you get to see something about them, and you can make some determinations without ever knowing the movie, right? If you think about Indiana Jones and you look at this, you immediately think swashbuckler. You instantly think adventurer. You kind of think of this guy that is. Thinks on the fly and kind of just makes his own way, and he's going to survive no matter what, right? Or you talk about just that kind of demented sense of the Joker, or just that scary look on Hannibal Lecter, right? And a lot of times the physical look of a character really helps us kind of buy into all the other pieces. So anyway, that's just a quick overview of the notes from today, Tuesday, the 24th. Again, in class, we will be adding notes to this, but if you are not with us today, you will not be responsible for doing that work.